India is the third largest crude oil consumer in the world, but there is one major challenge that the country imports nearly 88% of its crude oil requirements from abroad. And every year, India spends around $144 billion or nearly rupee 13 lakh crore on crude oil imports. And in order to reduce this dependence and increase domestic energy production, the Indian government has launched one of its biggest exploration missions, that is Samudra Manthan. But what exactly is this scheme? And how will India find oil and gas deep beneath the ocean? And can this project really reduce India's fuel dependency? Let us understand about it. Firstly, let us understand that what is the Samudra Manthan scheme. Notably, the Union Cabinet chaired by Prime Minister Narendra Modi has approved the National Offshore Exploration Scheme, also known as Samudra Manthan. It is India's largest offshore oil and gas exploration program so far, and the scheme aims to discover new oil and natural gas reserves in deep sea areas, increase domestic production and reduce India's dependence on imported crude oil. The government has also allocated a massive budget of rupee 84,084 crore for this mission until the financial year 2030 and 31. The program will be managed by the Ministry of Petroleum and Natural Gas. But where will India search for oil and gas? Notably, the exploration will focus on India's deep water and ultra-deep water regions, and major areas include Krishna-Godavari Basin, Kaveri Basin, Mahanadi Basin and Andaman Basin. India has an exclusive economic zone spread across nearly 10 lakh square kilometers where it has the right to explore and use natural resources. Scientists believe that several offshore regions may contain significant oil and gas reserves. But how is oil found under the ocean? Well, finding oil beneath the sea is a complicated and expensive process, and the first step is seismic exploration. Special survey ships send sound waves deep into the ocean floor, and all these waves bounce back after hitting underground rock layers. And using this data, scientists create a 3D map of the seabed to identify possible oil and gas reservoirs. And if the location looks promising, companies begin drilling exploration wells. And for this, advanced equipment such as drill ships and offshore rigs are used. And deep water drilling is extremely costly, as a single well can cost around $125 million to $150 million, which is approximately rupee 1,000 to rupee 1,400 crore. And after drilling, engineers test the quality and quantity of the oil reserves. And if the reserves are commercially viable, production platforms are built and oil and gas extraction begins. But how will the rupee 84,084 crore budget will be used? Well, the Samudra Manthan scheme has four major components. The first part focuses on collecting and processing offshore seismic data. For this, the government has allocated around rupee 28,534 crore, and the second part involves drilling 60 deep water wells with a budget of approximately rupee 43,200 crore. The government will provide financial support of up to rupee 675 crore per well, or 50% of eligible drilling cost, whichever is lower. The third component involves building common offshore infrastructure facilities with an allocation of rupee 10,000 crore. And the fourth component focuses on developing oil and gas manufacturing and service zones with a budget of rupee 2,000 crore. And what has been India's current oil situation? Well, India is currently heavily dependent on imported crude oil, and the country produces only around 12% of its crude oil requirement domestically, while nearly 88% is imported from other nations. Major oil producing regions in India include Mumbai High, Krishna-Godavari Basin, Kaveri Basin, Mahanadi Basin, and the Mumbai High oil field has been producing oil since 1976 and remains one of India's biggest offshore oil fields. Well, this raises one question into our mind, that will Samudra Manthan solve India's oil problem? Well, the biggest question is that will this project make India completely self-reliant in oil? The answer is definitely no, and at least not immediately. But deep sea exploration is a long process. Even after discovering oil, it can take around 5 to 10 years before production actually begins. And experts believe that Samudra Manthan can reduce India's dependence on imports, but it cannot completely replace foreign oil supplies. However, the government estimates that if the project succeeds, domestic oil and gas production will increase, India's energy security will improve, and the crude oil import bill could reduce by around rupee 1 lakh crore annually. So what are the major challenges before Samudra Manthan that the government can face? Well, despite its potential, the project faces several challenges as deep water exploration requires massive investment and advanced technology. There is also no guarantee that every exploration site will contain commercially useful oil and gas reserves. Environmental concerns related to offshore drilling and marine ecosystem will also need careful management. So, Samudra Manthan is definitely a major step towards strengthening India's energy security, and the project could help India discover new oil and gas reserves, increases domestic production and reduce dependence on imports. However, this is not an overnight solution, as the success of Samudra Manthan will depend on what lies beneath and the ocean floor and how efficiently India can convert all these discoveries into actual production. Well, the coming years will reveal whether India's oceans can become a major source of energy for the future. That's all for now. Stay tuned to the Savera for more updates. Do like, comment and subscribe to the channel.